In the dense jungles of a war-torn country, a military unit embarks on an important mission, but on their way they are attacked by something unknown. Our story today will follow one of these brave soldiers who witnessed a terrifying ordeal. He was willing to let me share his story with you. Listen until the end and share your thoughts on what you think they saw that night. Now let's get into it. As a young soldier, I took a moment to observe my comrades, each displaying a mixture of excitement, apprehension, and a steely attitude. Our mission is to secure a remote outpost that had been a constant target for enemy forces. Intelligence reports suggest that the enemy are everywhere, fortified, so we were sure that there would be a big fight ahead of us. Moving out into the dense jungle, the treetops lurked over us, the thick vegetation creating an oppressive atmosphere, making it difficult to maintain a clear line of sight. We navigate through the treacherous terrain, carefully avoiding booby traps and potential ambush points. Every step forward required uttermost caution and constant vigilance, all the while trying to keep silent as possible, trying to avoid alerting the enemy. But after hours of walking we had seen and heard absolutely nothing. No birds chirping, no animals scurrying off at the mere sight of a marine, no insects, just a deafening silence that was occasionally pierced by one of our men stumbling over roots or rocks, adding to the unnerving ambience. But we relied on our training and instinct to keep our focus intact. We knew that any lapse in concentration could spell disaster for the entire mission, so each member of our team was acutely aware of the high stakes and the sacrifices that may lie ahead of us. As we progress deeper into the heart of the jungle, the air becomes thick with unease. Shadows seem to dance among the ancient trees, creating a moment of illusion where none exists. The men started swinging their weapons backwards and forwards, looking down their scopes at the spot they saw the figures in the corner of their eyes, but when they looked straight towards it, we saw just more trees and brush. We knew something was there, but we just couldn't see it, like there was an invisible barrier challenging our very presence in this forbidding territory. Despite the mounting tension and the sense of being watched, our resolve remained unshaken. We pressed on, our footsteps puncturing the silence, determined to fulfill our duty and protect our comrades. The mission's success was hinged not only on our physical abilities, but even more on our mental fortitude in the face of the unknown. Our commanders, they didn't want to stop for a quick break, as we had to get to the outpost as quick and quiet as possible. We were making good time. My unit was almost at the checkpoint, which was an allied village halfway to the outpost. Also on everybody's mind was the worry about spies informing the enemy where we were or an ambush waiting for us. The village checkpoint was under the protection of our forces. We always had a couple of guys stay at the village, keeping watch over the people. I myself had been there a couple of times, having to be one of the guys keeping watch. It was a lovely community, always laughing and overjoyed to see us Marines in full gear. The people would surround us as soon as they saw us, offering foods and odd-looking tools they used in the woods for their way of life. But that day was different. Upon entering the village it was dead silent. The first thing we saw was the villagers' dilapidated huts barely standing. Then we realised we had stumbled upon a gruesome slaughter. The lifeless bodies of the villagers lay scattered, each one contorted in unimaginable ways. It was as if some unseen force had grabbed them with inhuman strength and twisted their limbs like works of art. Smash that like button if you're enjoying the story so far. Cautiously exploring the village, our hearts sank with every new discovery. Broken pottery and scattered belongings hinted at something abrupt that had happened in the village, leaving only a reminder of their former existence. The narrow paths that once bustled with life now lay deserted. The mystery deepened as we uncovered signs of recent activity. Fresh footprints and discarded items suggested that the village had been occupied just a few days ago. Questions flooded our mind. What had driven them away? What was leaving their homes behind? The remnants of their daily lives lay strewn about, as if the villagers had just vanished into thin air. Everybody's imaginations ran wild with possibilities. There was some unforeseen force at play here. Most of us didn't believe this sort of stuff, the paranormal. But after being in the village, we all started to believe the tales the locals spoke of, vengeful spirits from another realm, haunting the area of whisperous shadows that grabbed, taking people into the forest, never to be seen again. What else could do this sort of horror to a person? 150 people half dead, half missing. Maybe there was more rational explanation hidden beneath the layers of devastation, but our investigation led us no closer to any sort of explanation. We were just in a nightmare, totally confused. After only searching for 30 minutes for any survivors or answers of what evil had happened, we moved out in case whatever was responsible for such devastation could still be lurking nearby, waiting to strike, this time at us. Leaving the village, trying to leave also the horrific sights behind us, we approach the outpost. We steel ourselves for what lies ahead. The unit gets ready to confront the enemy that was meant to be waiting for us. With every passing moment, the realization sinks in that this was going to be far worse than just killing the enemy and retaking the outpost. Whatever we were about to face was going to be a test to our mentality and resilience that none of us had ever faced before. Now to us, the mission of securing the outpost is not just a military objective, it's about facing our deepest fears and ultimately emerging victorious. In the Marines, we face adversity, we cling to one another, drawing strength from bonds in the crucible of fear and uncertainty, and we march forward, determined to return the base with our heads held high. As night falls and darkness engulfed us in the jungle, a sudden surge of power disrupted the air. Our once reliable radios crackled and sputtered, emitting static that drowned out any attempt of communication. The screens on our electrical devices flickered and faded as if powerful EMPs had scrambled their circuits. Desperate attempts to reboot and repair the equipment proved futile, leaving us cut off from the outside world. The malfunctioning radios emitted sporadic bursts of distorted voices, almost as if whispers of unseen entities had infiltrated the airways. The sounds were distorted, making it impossible to decipher their messages. The electrical devices, normally hummed of life, now was picking up the dead. Evil forces was at work there, and I couldn't explain it, and still can't. And something was manipulating the very currents of energy in the jungle, rendering our technology useless. The realization sank in that we were completely isolated, trapped in this eerie realm where the normal laws of physics seemed no longer to apply. Panic lingered on the edges of our minds, threatening to consume us, but we were Marines, and knowing that would help against our chance for survival. With each passing moment, the feeling of dread intensified, as if the jungle itself waited for the opportune moment to strike. Strange whispers echoed around us, chilling voices that raised the hairs on the back of our necks. The jungle seemed alive with unseen spirits, all of us catching glimpses of shadowy figures moving between the trees, more frequent, but now their eyes gleamed with a strange light. They were getting ready to strike, and we were the prey. All of a sudden, chaos descended upon us. The vengeful spirits made their presence known. They struck us with unmatched ferocity, tearing through our ranks. We all started spraying this way and that, in an absolute panic. Then something hit me over the head, and I felt myself fall to the floor. Everything was a bit of a haze for a minute or two before I came to my senses. I was wedged between two massive tree roots. Grabbing my weapon, I looked up to see my comrades falling by the dozen, being ripped to actual pieces and flung into the air like confetti. My brother's screams and bullets piercing the night air. Fear itself had manifested to consume them. It was a huge mass of impenetrable darkness. I watched it pass through the men, taking their souls of it. I dared not to think where it was taking them. I still try not to think about it now. What I was seeing was too much for me. My best friends being torn to shreds and their souls destroyed. I couldn't keep my eyes open. I was frozen with pure fear, unable to get myself free from the roots, but I had to listen to the horrors coming from my brothers. After what felt like hours, desperately trying now to stay hidden, the weight of the loss and the burden of being the sole survivor weighed heavily on me. Managing to worm my way out, I got out my compass and ran in the direction back to base. Every step forward feeling like a victory for the darkness that surrounded me. I pushed through exhaustion and despair, driven by will to see daylight again. The spirits didn't attack. They stayed a couple of meters either side of me, whispering angrily, their rage palpable, but I refused to succumb to their torment. I tapped into reserve strength that I never knew existed, drawing upon lessons learned from my training and the camaraderie shared with my fallen comrades. They became my guiding whispers, urging me to keep going, my heart pounding in my chest. Every step I now take, feeling like a defiant act against the grip of the monsters. I was determined to escape, to bear witness to the horrors I faced and survive to tell the tale. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, I emerged from the dense foliage. The harsh light of day blinded me momentarily, but it also signified the end of my ordeal. I collapsed on the ground, tears mingled with blood and sweat. As the weight of survival sinks in, the journey may be over, but the scars left by the cursed jungle will forever mark my soul. As I reflected upon the horrors I witnessed and the sacrifices made, a profound sense of gratitude washed over me, as I am the only one in my unit who made it out alive. And with that comes a heavy responsibility. I am the guardian of their memories, tasked with sharing our harrowing experience with the world, with you. Wow, what a story. I hope you enjoyed. Do you have a story you would like me to tell the world? If you do, then drop a comment. Thanks for watching. Fear Tears.